Good evening. Thank you for coming and welcome to the regular board meeting for the Plymouth Community School Board for March 6, 2018. If you'll join us in the pledge. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
First item on the agenda is to set the agenda. Any additions or corrections?
Yes, we had a couple of additions under appointments. We added an interstation aide appointment as well as two track coaches under student activity requests. We had 4 additions, 3 from FFA and 1 from WBA. We added an overnight request for the color guard. They moved on in the competition and needed to get that request in. Additionally, we removed consideration of a makeup day from business transactions.
With those changes, entertain a motion to accept the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and second. Any questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Audience participation, again, thank you for coming. Are there agenda items that anyone would like to speak to this evening? Well, another chance here at the end. Thank you. Section 2, focus on learning.
Yes, this evening we have the Innovation Academy at Lincoln. Mr. Gall, would you like to introduce?
Yes. Let me introduce my humanities facilitators, Rachel Anders with Language Arts, Angela Brunnick, who does our social studies, and they're going to introduce their kids or get us started.
Yep. All right, so our students have been working really hard on this presentation to represent what all of our students have been working on for the last 2 months. So they're going to be explaining what they have been working on, both Project 4 and Project 5.
Okay, thank you so much for inviting us to share with you the amazing things that we're doing at Lincoln Junior High. My name is Brighton Bird, and with me tonight is Ivan Tercios, Darlene Canyas, Byron Jimenez, Marilla Schaefer, and Jacob Priest. We are here to represent the 7th grade PBL Innovation Team. Ms. Bernicki and Mrs. Anders are always telling us that we broke the mold. This past January, we began a project called the Geography Happens, which, of course, had an Olympic theme. But before we get any further, let's start this presentation the same way we started each class. So, on your feet, please. Not only time to warm up our minds, but our bodies as well. After the class. Come on. Okay, so arm circles. After the class. You can go now. Arm circle. No, backwards. Here we go. High knees. Let's stretch up there.
The driving question for this project was, how did your school culture impact the overall standard of living on a day-to-day basis? The task for this project was to create the new LJH Fair Assembly. We first started with a list of no's and needs to knows. Then we came to a conclusion that we needed to create a more positive atmosphere for these school roundups. And so human beings are normally very competitive, and that competitiveness can sometimes bring the worst out of people. So we knew that improving these school assemblies were very crucial for our society, and we knew that it would increase our human capital.
Our first task was to explore the Time magazine's geographical map of happiness. Happiness was explained with GDP per capita, freedom, education, and social support. Our last step was to do a Socratic seminar of what we learned with the CIO fact book. We basically asked what would truly happiness would be and how we would achieve it.
The next step was to brainstorm and research game ideas for large groups of people and spirit these game ideas. The consensus was that more students needed the opportunity to participate in these events. Also, the cheering that took place between the 7th and 8th graders has become much more positive than it had in the past. It took a great deal of creativity to find a way to encourage positive cheering, positive competition, and respectful cheering. It only then seemed logical to create the LGH Winter Olympics. Students were allowed to sign up for their grade level teams for the Spirit Assembly during lunchtime. 30 7th graders and 30 8th graders participated, along as several other teachers. Not only did each team earn points for winning events, they could also earn additional points or even lose points based on the positive or negative cheering detected.
As the students for each class were divided into country teams, we decided to continue working on improving our human capital by working diligently to improve our writing skills. The constructed response challenge was not only a team effort, but also an individual medley. Each student was challenged to complete his or own constructed response. However, a team medal was also given for the top 3 highest averages. So as you can see, my team got bronze medal in India. However, I personally earned a gold medal for the individual medley. The challenge was to complete the question using the yes-man model, which includes restating the text and giving a general answer, providing 2 forms of textual evidence while layering in logical thinking, and of course ending with a conclusion sentence. Now we have all the confidence and skills throughout this event and any other future challenges we may encounter.
Although 7th graders did not have many points on the board at the conclusion of the LJH Winter Olympics as we had hoped, we certainly had a bigger victory by changing the culture of our school. Mr. Hoffel and Mr. Galt both agreed that positive spirit assemblies were now a requirement. So as you can see on the board, it shows the score of the 3 teams. As you can see, 7th grade didn't do very well on the games or positive cheering. On the other side, the teachers did very well in the games and would have won first place overall if it wasn't for the 8th grade's positive cheering. This proved to Mr. Hoffel and Mr. Galt that positive spirit assemblies should now be implemented. So overall, we may have lost the battle, but we definitely won the war. Thank you. And now, like Starry Wonders. Thank you.
Any questions or observations?
Very positive, very impressive.
Yes.
Good job.
Thank you.
So who came up with all these events? Was that?
It was
Our teachers. All the 7th grade PBL teachers.
No wonder they did so well. They came up with the events.
Was this event just for PBL students?
It was also for like the traditional students.
Oh yeah,
The whole, yeah, it was
High school.
Very good.
Great.
You want to do it again?
We're good.
What was the answer?
We're good.
For 2 years, we got the summer games, so.
Yeah.
Well, thank you all.
Yeah.
It was very positive.
Great job.
Very good, very good.
You all are free to stay, and you're also free to not stay.
Thank you.
You probably knew that. All right, we've got our blood pumping, let's move on. Section 3 is the consent agenda. Are there items on the consent agenda the board member would like to consider separately? Hearing none, consider a motion on the consent agenda.
Second.
A motion a second to accept the consent agenda. Any comments or questions? All in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All right, business transactions, 4.1, 2018 summer school.
Yeah, this is an annual consideration that the board has, and so we're seeking permission to send this program to DOE for final approval. And you can see high school program offerings as well as the IRE remediation session. There's also kindergarten countdown there that we typically offered or been able to offer through local grants. So that one would be contingent on covering a little bit of those local grants to support them.
It's so moved.
Second.
Motion is second to accept the summer school program or have it submitted to DOE. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. 4.2, consider adult education grant continuation assurance.
Yeah, this too is an annual commission that we seek from the board that allows us to continue pursuit of adult education grant dollars to support our adult education programs. So the document you see there is the assurances that we sign off on in pursuit of grant dollars.
Is there a motion?
Second.
Motion is second to accept the adult education grant continuation assurance. All in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. 4.4, technical or consider technical corrections to previously approved policy.
Yeah, 4.3.
I was just seeing if you're listening. 4.3, consider exempt event notification, Indiana Gaming.
Yes. That's okay. This is due to the fact that the high school would like to sell raffle tickets. And in order to sell raffle tickets, the state of Indiana considers that gambling. And we have to make sure that our people that sell it are 18 years or older. And we also have to have this notification signed and approved.
You can do it on the ground or do we have to be on water?
Well, last week we would have been on water, so. I'm thinking on ground. I know.
What are they selling raffle tickets for?
That I do not know. I apologize for not knowing that. If it did, then I don't know. Let's see. Yeah, baseball team. I said Mr. Garrity and somewhere in here, something for special needs. Special needs.
So we need to approve that to make it legal?
To make it legal, it's going to need to be signed by Melissa and Mr. Herman.
So moved. Need a motion. Yep, that motion, is there a second?
Second.
Motion is second. All in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Now, 4.4, consider technical corrections to previously approved policy.
These two They're just technical corrections that reflect appropriate personnel who have responsibilities in these policies. So because it's technical in nature, we don't need to go through first and second readings. Just be presented to this evening for your consideration.
Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Motion is second to approve. All in favor, indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. 4.5, consider authorization to issue construction documents for bid.
Well, this relates to our Lincoln Junior High project. And for the new construction, it's fair to say that overall the design process has concluded. We've invited members of the core planning team with that. It doesn't encompass everyone, certainly, because the teachers have been involved a lot as well. But Dion from Skillman and Brian from Barton Co., as well as Mr. Galt, Mr. Schoaf, Mrs. Tinky, Mr. Brown's have been parts of various things as well, are here tonight. So design is good. You've seen it, the layout, the renderings. Nothing has changed from the last time. You've seen that. We've just been narrowing in on greater levels of detail with finishes and everything. So also the final estimate is looking good as well. And so we're ready to have your permission to authorize Skillman to issue the bid documents. And the document that you see here is just the advertisement that would be put forth to reflect that.
So moved.
A motion is second. Are there questions? So I have a couple. Brian, at the last meeting, and maybe just to refresh my memory, I'm assuming we still have alternates as part of the process. So maybe just refresh my memory on what those are and how those will be made. Or Deanna.
I'm Deanna Katsuris with the Skillman Corporation. And just to reiterate, the reason we incorporate alternates into the project is really to ultimately protect the budget. And those alternates are typically, they're not necessarily needs, they're wants, but then once we open bids on bid day, if we can afford it in the overall budget, then we come before you and say, hey, the budget's looking great, let's maybe consider some of those alternates. We also carry those alternates. We require the contractors to hold those bids for 120 days in case you need to think about it, for a few weeks. But some of those alternates are manufacturer alternates, as an example. Dave here, I know he has a desire to possibly incorporate certain manufacturers, whether it's like a boiler or a chiller, and in public works, you can't sole source a manufacturer. So to keep them honest, you include at least 2 or 3, and then you try to isolate their number by having them state the cost if it is a premium to use, say Train as an example, as a certain product. But some of those additional alternates that we're considering that may be add or deduct alternates, one of them is the wrestling room. Another one is the terrazzo flooring. I believe we're considering either utilizing in some areas carpeting or tile product in lieu of terrazzo, just because of the cost of terrazzo. Terrazzo is very expensive. It's great to have, but there are some areas that we looked at with the overall administrative team and said, we may not necessarily need them in certain aspects of the building.
Just to clarify, you say great to have from a durability, maintenance perspective.
Longevity and wear.
So if the budget can afford it, ideally, we'd like to see terrazzo in the areas identified currently. But the wrestling room and the terrazzo are 2 big ones. Brian, any others?
PEX pipe, I believe, from copper plumbing to PEX plumbing was an alternate that we had as well. Different components for the domestic water.
So it'd be just a different type of material. PEX being like a plastic material versus the copper. That alternate, as an example, would be a deduct alternate. That's how we're seeing it being a deduct alternate right now.
Total number of alternates,
It's about 8.
and that's a good number on a project this size.
Yeah, they're generally pretty isolated to specific areas of work. Most of them are manufacturers' alternates, the majority of those, so that you have the ability to get the preferred product, but not sacrifice competition to do that. So, I think it's still a pretty clean way to bid it, but gives the board some flexibility, board and administrators flexibility once we know exactly what the value of those will be from the contractor. So.
Sounds good. So just walk me through the timing here. So authorization here, and then.
Sure.
Walk us through. Yeah.
March 12th being the first advertisement, and then the second one being on March 19th. And then on March 20th, we'll be holding a pre-bid meeting here at 10 a.m. That'll give the contractors an opportunity to come in, and Brian and his team will provide a snapshot of the overall project. And then we'll outline and reiterate some of the expectations in the front-end requirements, what they need to submit with their bids, things like that are inherent to a project, but maybe for some new contractors that are unfamiliar to that process, just to reiterate that. And then we open it up for questions as well. We also make sure we follow up with questions to be sent to us formally in writing, so we can follow up in an addendum. And that addendum gets issued. We hope not to have more than 2 or 3 typically in a project this size, because it's on the street or available to all the contractors for approximately 4 weeks. So the bidding timeline between when the documents are available on March 12th and then we'll formally open bids in this room April 10th. So around a month at 10 a.m. in this room. Once we actually open the bids, we'll actually review them, make sure that they comply with all the requirements as far as financial statements, bid bonds, things like that. And then we plan on coming before you on April 17th with the recommendation to move forward. Assuming all goes well, we would issue a notice to proceed the following day. Then it takes a few days to issue contracts after that. And once we get all the insurance requirements, things like that in line, we hit the ground running. Really, and the first thing that we need to do that's going to dictate the success and the schedule of this project is that water line relocation. So that's the first thing that needs to happen, and then we start the actual construction, building footings, foundations, earthwork, things like that. It's approximately a 22-month schedule, occupancy to start to turn it over to you and your staff in May of 2020. I threw a lot of information at you, so ask questions.
Well, so once bids are received on the 10th, you'll come on the 17th. Is that when, like, the department codes, still the guarantees kick in, that we won't go over budget? So.
Brian?
Yeah, that's good.
No, you know what? I mean, this is the.
Let me ask the question. So what kind of market do you see out there?
The market started to shift last summer because there's a lot of work out there. So contractors started to be selective on the projects that they were bidding on because they had that luxury. Now some of those projects are falling off the books and they're looking for more work. I think where you're located here, you're going to have 3 markets feeding in here. You're going to have the Northwest Indiana market, you're going to have the Fort Wayne market, and you're going to have the South Bend market. So some may choose to or not to bid, but you're going to get some good participation. I believe we're going to break this apart into probably 12 or 13 bid categories, prime contractors. So we typically see around an average of 3 per bid category. So I wouldn't be shocked if we were, upwards close to 40 bids, which shows a good level of competition. I could be, proven wrong, but you just never know what the market's going to do. I think you're in a good position and you're bidding at a good time right now. But again, without the crystal ball.
Understood.
The process has been fantastic. I mean, we've been working with Mr. Hartley and his administrative team since August. I think we were all charged with throwing out ideas out there, even if they were radical. And I think what stuck, and some ideas were good, some ideas were bad, but that's why we go through the process, and that's why we go through the different estimating phases as well.
Any other questions? Thanks, Dan.
I just want to express my gratitude to the team as well, in getting to this point. It's been a lot of work, a lot of commitment, and here we are. So, appreciate it.
So, unless there are other questions, consider a motion then to authorize the issuance of construction documents to bid.
So moved.
Second. Motion is second. Any comments? Questions? All good? All in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thanks. Thank you. 4.6, legislative report.
From a couple of fronts, I want to talk about number one, from the State Board of Education, they are still in the midst of their rulemaking on accountability rules. And a few of us were up in South Bend testifying before the State Board. They had a hearing up there, they had some regional hearings, and just providing our feedback and comments, as well as many other educators and citizens from the area. While the legislation regarding a single diploma type is still likely going to be a favorable change, we still have some concerns with the metrics. There's going to be two different systems kind of operating there with that. And so I'm still pushing comment to them through their online meetings, and we'll see what happens with that. But that's something that we're still keeping our eye on, and however it lands, we'll navigate and figure out. With respect to the State House, continuing to evaluate House Bill 1315 that was regarding area community schools, Muncie schools, as well as then the financial indicators that would involve the Stretch Junior Appeals Board getting involved with school corporations, and they sort of lay out maybe a reasonable scope and sequence of involvement as opposed to jumping right to punitive consequences for districts, but providing some support and intervention before they get to that point. So, keep in mind that. School funding as well. We saw a House bill and a Senate bill kind of consolidate into fulfilling the shortfalls, the projected shortfalls from the state as well. So we appreciated efforts in there. From our local legislators. Something that just popped up on my radar, Senate Bill 242, starting to involve redevelopment commissions and a requirement for them to present to school boards annually on their budgets and kind of the impact of TIF districts on school budgets and things like that. So just thought that was interesting to pop up here. And then just the last one to comment on, there's been several others, but Senate Bill 387, teacher licensing bill, so that it adds some amendments related to supplemental payments and collective bargaining that we've got our eye on right now too. So short session, not as much as the long session, but still lots of activity there that we can monitor and communicate with our legislators on, and work with the result.
One of the, you mentioned redevelopment, you may have seen, I don't know, did you ever receive a notice of a meeting on March 2nd? That was being, it never did come together. Okay. But there will be a meeting of school.
Oh, yes, in Lebanon. Yes, that got canceled. Yes, yeah. I'm sorry.
So, I was not part of canceling that, but part of the panel. So it's not, I mean, that effort is not being taken off the table. It is just being reshuffled, and we're going to have a meeting at the end of March. School representatives, economic development representatives, and begin the discussion that way in a little smaller group. Okay. If there are questions on that. So, again, that's my day job, but I think it's a good process to open up communication. And I think we have great communication here with the redevelopment commission in the school. Not all communities have that luxury. Anything else on legislation or any questions? Mr. Stewart, superintendent remarks.
Yeah, so I didn't go through section by section here. I just kind of created a lump of comments here because it's been interesting isn't the right word, but
before you get started, I know, Laura, you follow legislation. Was there anything you wanted to add?
Well, one, I would just add comments to the State Board of Education meeting up in South Bend. It was, I think, very interesting to go and see what was going on. We had administrators from at least 10 different corporations in the area. And every single one of them spoke up about their concern on how accountability was going to be measured. So they said, we welcome accountability, we understand the need for accountability, but when we start to emphasize academic performance on a single test and start to minimize growth, student growth, that is a concern, especially for corporations that have large numbers of free and reduced or E&L students. It's really an unfair playing field. So Mr. Hartley mentioned the fact that they have an online comment. There is a website. It's SBOE_comment at sboe.in.gov. And with that said, they talked about emails matter. So I hope every single one of you take the time to email. I know I went home that night and I did, just because I think we need to express our concerns with the lack of the growth model and the accountability. And then just the other one, I don't know if you saw the bill on instruction for human sexuality has changed a little bit with what we are calling the opt-in, opt-out bill. And so now what they're talking about is that parents will have two opportunities to be either to consent or decline that instruction. And if after the two opportunities we don't get a form back, the student will have that instruction.
So that's still being considered, or that's already?
That was of last week that was going through the process. I didn't get a chance to see if it actually went through the rest of the process this week.
Thank you.
Not at all, I appreciate that. Well, through the last month, I really wanted to express the pride that I felt in our students and the teachers and staff that work with our kids. They have shown a true commitment that goes well beyond our core values, and I'm not diminishing our core values because they are solid and important to us, but we have shown a commitment to people and to our community, and it's really been amazing to see and to be a part of. The stories continue to come in. I just heard another one this evening of our kids, of our teachers, of our staff committing their time, committing their resources, whether it was filling sandbags, teachers and staff who were helping parents of their kids pump out their basements during the flood, teams of teachers making meals for families of their kids who they know were significantly impacted, students and parents helping teachers keep the water out of their home. It was amazing. We had bus drivers volunteer to drive the buses or the van during the community cleanup day. Administrators who were willing to drive anyone who might have been staying at the Webster Center at that shelter to the high school so that they could shower. And the amount of volunteers who showed up when we had our makeshift Red Cross shelter at the high school was amazing. And even in the midst of that, I was leaving that evening. It was around midnight, and a custodian was coming in, and they heard that they needed volunteers, and felt bad that he was late, and was there to help. So then we came back to school, and our teachers and staff were again nothing short of amazing, and just reactivating kids back to school, making sure that basic needs were met. And then getting back into the routine of teaching and learning. And then testing. And in the midst of that, I'll say that we continue to maintain what's important. I'll also express my appreciation to the Department of Education in granting us a waiver in that testing window so that our kids didn't have to come right back into a testing window. We could push that back a little bit and make sure to the best of our abilities that basically from that and that we were okay. So we've said this many times, and I'm sure we'll continue to say it, but this is a special place, Plymouth, and just want to take the opportunity to express my gratitude to all teachers, administrators, staff, students, families who chipped in above and beyond, certainly, during that time and demonstrated the true meaning of community and the school system. I'm proud that we were part of that. Sorry that we had to go through it, but proud that we were part of that. So.
That's it. Any other questions or comments or anything else? Go back to the, so I'll go back to the audience. Anybody have any comments or questions on the agenda this evening?
I do. As purely as an audience member, I want to share a story that Andy was referring to. As you all know, our office was destroyed by the flood. We've since gutted it. We don't know what the future plans are. I don't shy away from physical labor. I don't have any problem going in there, ripping drywall and remodeling and rebuilding. The one thing that I was dreading was removing the sandbags. I don't ever want to lift another sandbag. And Curtis Nordman and the voice track team came out within the first couple of days that they were back in school. I think it might have been that Tuesday. And they removed sandbags from several businesses, including ours, got them all out from the building. By the time we got back in there, the city had picked them up. We didn't have to touch them. And we've not had an opportunity to adequately thank them yet, or we will, but I wanted to publicly acknowledge what they did and thank them for coming out and helping with that.
That's awesome. Any other comments? I'm sure there's 1,000 stories like that, but to hear it, and I'm sure it's all very personal in terms of, I know it's a place of business, but you spend a long time there, and so good luck on getting that all back together. Any other comments on the agenda? If not, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Adjourn. Thank you.